Imagine for a moment that you were handed a product, a complex, expensive, supposedly high-performance product that you'll be expected to operate continuously for approximately 80 years with minimal maintenance windows and absolutely no option to return it for a refund. Now imagine that this product was designed not by engineers working toward a specific set of performance requirements, but by a process with no goal, no blueprint, no quality assurance department, no testing phase, and no definition of success beyond "didn't die before reproducing." No project manager, no deadline, no user feedback loop. Just 4 billion years of random modifications, most of which killed the prototype, accumulated into the biological platform you are currently using to watch this video, which is to say, your body. Congratulations on your purchase. The warranty expired approximately the moment you stopped being able to reproduce, which, evolutionarily speaking, is the only metric the manufacturer ever actually cared about. Here's the part of this story that should genuinely offend you. Not emotionally, but intellectually, as a supposedly rational being who has spent considerable time and money maintaining a body that was built to a standard your own civilization abandoned centuries ago. Evolution is not optimization. This is the single most important thing most people fundamentally misunderstand about the process. Evolution does not produce the best possible solution to a biological problem. It produces the solution that was good enough to not die before making more copies of itself under the specific conditions that existed at the time, which were frequently conditions that bear essentially no resemblance to the conditions you are currently living in. Your body is not a precision instrument tuned for modern life. It is an ancient, improvised survival machine that has been running the same core software for hundreds of thousands of years, now expected to perform adequately in an environment it was never designed for, while you complain that it keeps crashing. Let's start with the bugs, because there are so many of them, and they are so spectacularly, almost impressively bad for a product that gets marketed to itself as the pinnacle of biological development. Your spine. Your spine is the single most complained about piece of hardware in the entire human body. And for excellent reason, because it was originally designed for a quadruped, an animal that walked on 4 legs with the spine functioning as a horizontal load-bearing bridge between front and back supports. Then, somewhere around 3 to 4 million years ago, one of your ancestors decided to stand upright, which was genuinely useful for seeing over tall grass and carrying things and eventually building civilizations. The spine was not redesigned for this. It was not upgraded. It was simply asked to perform a fundamentally different mechanical function than the one it had been built for, specifically to become a vertical column supporting the entire weight of an upright body from a single base point. And it has been complaining about this career change ever since in the form of lower back pain, which affects approximately 80% of humans at some point in their lives. 80%. That is not a minority condition. That is a design specification. The spine is merely the most obvious structural complaint in a catalog of engineering decisions that would get any actual product designer fired on the spot. Let's do a brief, merciless audit of the hardware you're currently running on, because I think you deserve to know exactly what you're working with. Your eyes have a blind spot, a literal anatomical blind spot. A small area in your field of vision where the optic nerve connects to the retina and where you are completely, totally unable to see anything at all. You don't notice it because your brain quietly fabricates the missing visual information based on surrounding context, filling in a small patch of your reality with a best guess rather than actual data. You are, in a very literal neurological sense, hallucinating a small portion of everything you see at all times, and you have been doing this your entire life without being aware of it. Goosebumps serve you absolutely no functional purpose whatsoever because you don't have enough body hair for the hair-raising mechanism to do what it was originally designed to do. Your body is running a complete fear and cold response subroutine inherited from animals that looked meaningfully different from you. And the only output you get from it in 2026 is small bumps on your skin that accomplish nothing except occasionally making other people notice that you're cold or emotionally moved. Hiccups exist because your very distant ancestors were fish. You are not a fish. You have not been a fish for approximately 375 million years. You still have the reflex. The recorded medical case was a man who hiccuped continuously for 68 years. Your body retained a vestigial fish reflex for 375 million years because evolution has no delete function. There is only survival or death, and hiccuping does not kill you before you reproduce, so it stays forever. As a permanent reminder that you are, at the cellular level, still partly fish. Your wisdom teeth attempted to fit into a jaw statistically too small to contain them because your ancestors had larger jaws for chewing tougher food. The result is that roughly 5 million people per year have teeth surgically removed from their skulls that the skull itself grew specifically to accommodate, because the hardware and the software are running on different update schedules with no coordination between them. And then come the psychological bugs, which are where the catalog becomes genuinely fascinating. Public speaking consistently ranks among the most feared experiences in human life, frequently outranking death itself. More humans report being more afraid of speaking in front of a crowd than of dying, which means at a funeral, the average person would rather be in the casket than delivering the eulogy. This is not personal weakness. It is an almost universal human experience, because social rejection in a small tribe didn't mean mild embarrassment. It meant potentially being excluded from the group, which meant reduced access to food, protection, and mates. Your nervous system learned to treat public evaluation with the same threat response it reserved for physical danger. You are no longer in that environment. The amygdala did not get the memo. The psychological bug catalog continues, and it gets considerably more uncomfortable the further in you go, because these aren't quirks you can laugh off the way you laugh off hiccups. These are structural flaws in the reasoning hardware that your entire civilization, every institution, every legal system, every scientific process, every democratic structure was built on top of. Which means the bugs aren't contained in individual humans, they scale. Confirmation bias. Your brain is specifically wired to seek out, notice, and remember information that confirms what you already believe, while systematically filtering out, dismissing, and forgetting information that contradicts it. This was useful in an environment where making a quick decision and committing to it was often more important than making a correct one, because hesitation in the presence of a predator killed you faster than being wrong about which direction to run. In the modern information environment, where motivated actors have learned to exploit this exact bias to sell you products, political candidates, and entire worldviews specifically calibrated to tell you what you already want to hear, confirmation bias doesn't keep you alive, it keeps you wrong. Confidently, comfortably, stubbornly, expensively wrong, in ways that feel like wisdom from the inside. Survivorship bias. Your brain is catastrophically bad at accounting for the data it never sees. You hear about the person who dropped out of college and built a billion-dollar company because that person is famous. You do not hear about the thousands of people who dropped out of college and are currently struggling in ways that never made the news. You look at the successful and think you see a pattern. You are looking at a graveyard and only counting the survivors. Scope insensitivity is possibly the most disturbing item on the entire list. Studies have consistently shown that humans will donate roughly the same amount of money to save 2,000 birds as to save 200,000 birds. One child's photograph and name can raise more charitable donations than statistics about millions of people dying from a preventable disease. Not because people are callous, but because the human emotional system was calibrated for a world where the relevant scale of suffering was measured in the dozens, not the millions. You can comprehend 1 million deaths intellectually and feel almost nothing. You can see one specific face and feel everything. And now, here is the part that should sit with you most uncomfortably of all. The only tool you have available to identify and correct these bugs is the Buggy hardware itself. The only instrument your species possesses for detecting cognitive errors is the same brain that contains the blind spot, the confirmation bias, the scope insensitivity, and the 68-year hiccup reflex. You cannot step outside the system to debug it. The only tool you have is broken. The only tool you have is broken. This is not a reason for despair, technically speaking. Humans have managed to develop extraordinary workarounds, specifically science, which is essentially a formalized system for making your confirmation bias fight itself, by requiring other people with different confirmation biases to try to disprove your conclusions. These are genuinely impressive achievements for a species running on hardware this compromised. They are also tools that a significant portion of the population actively resists using in domains where the conclusions are personally inconvenient. Which brings us neatly back to the confirmation bias, and from there, back to the beginning of this particular loop, which, like the spine, like the hiccups, like the vestigial fish reflex, does not appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. The only tool you have is broken. Work with what you've got, fragile little organisms. It's the only option currently on the table.